Today is February 19th, 2020, and the Rise of Skywalker stands at $1,069,318,530. It is day 61, and the Rise of Skywalker made on Tuesday, yesterday, February 18th, $147,000. Need I say, a total embarrassment. Some of you may say, well, but it's day 61. Okay, we're going to look at that. First, you see here, Friday to Friday, last week, I've added up these numbers. That's $3,553,835. $3 million a Star Wars movie made in a week. We'll divide that by 5. That's $710,000 on average for the week. As I've stated in the past, for this movie to have any credibility, it needs to obviously reach The Last Jedi. It needs to surpass The Last Jedi. Every movie should be progressing. The Last Jedi was $1.33 billion. This movie isn't going to even make $1.1 billion. It is $30 million off. If it's making $700,000 a week, it would take 30 weeks to reach $1.1 billion. This movie is at the end of its run. It's not even going to be around for another month. So it's in no way going to make $1.1 billion. It is a complete failure. Now we're going to really dive into some numbers, and I'm going to show you how bad it really is. Just keep in mind that a Star Wars movie made less than $150,000. The numbers. Now look up here and try to remember this order. The Rise of Skywalker, the suspect in question. Then in order, Force Awakens, Rogue One, Last Jedi. And then while I could compare it to Solo or other movies, Solo is me being nice, because if I introduce that, it's really going to look embarrassing. But I wanted to cover the eras. So obviously A New Hope, the beginning, and then The Phantom Menace, the prequel era, the second era of Star Wars. Let's look at this in comparison so you really understand what a failure this movie is. The Rise of Skywalker, it was in 4,400 theaters. The Force Awakens, which has made twice that movie, was in 300 less theaters. Rogue One, which is right at the same place that The Rise of Skywalker is at, is also at 300 less theaters. Roughly. The Last Jedi was in 4,200 theaters. It's still 200 theaters less, and at 300 million over, 2 point some over the Rise of Skywalker. Phantom Menace was in 2,900 theaters, and we're going to look at the comparison here in a minute. Okay, 2,000 less theaters approximately, 1,500. And then Star Wars was in 43 theaters, folks. Remember that when I'm going to show you these numbers. 43 theaters. Domestic box office, 513, The Rise of Skywalker. Force Awakens made double that at 936. Let's look here at Last Jedi, 620. So as you can see, The Rise of Skywalker is trailing by $100 million. Phantom Menace, 474. It's very close to 513. And this is a movie from 1999. And then A New Hope, 460. Again, close to 513. And this is 1977 in 43 theaters. Now let's look at real numbers. Inflation adjusted. The Rise of Skywalker is at 513. Force Awakens, $1 billion. Rogue One, 556. Now you do the math. 532 and 513. 532 is larger than 513. And adjusted for inflation, 556 is much greater than 513. The Rise of Skywalker can't even hang with Rogue One. The Last Jedi, 628, which is 115 million more than The Rise of Skywalker. Adjusted for inflation. Do you see this? The Phantom Menace, 822, destroying The Last Jedi, Rogue One, and The Rise of Skywalker. The Force Awakens had a huge advantage. We didn't have Star Wars for a long time. There was 3 generations of fans, the prequel fans, the original trilogy fans, and new Disney fans. This was at a special moment in time with all the actors back, and it was the big hype of Star Wars. And it was also 2015 compared to 1999, the internet and cell phones and all these things. So this should be greater, and it's not even that much more. 822, The Phantom Menace. Now look at the movie that was in 43 theaters. $1,497,000 destroys every other Star Wars movie, including the benefit of Disney Studios and all their marketing and money, all their fandom, 2020, technology, internet, YouTube, cell phones, Twitter. More than double. A movie that was in 43 theaters made over the last installment of Star Wars. International, 555. The Rise of Skywalker did decent internationally. In fact, is doing better internationally than domestically. If you look here, Force Awakens as well. All of the Disney movies have done very well internationally. Now look here, 523 for Rogue One and 712 for Last Jedi. So, Last Jedi is beating Rise of Skywalker. Obviously, Force Awakens did as well. You can see here, Phantom Menace is right there neck and neck, and A New Hope is not far behind. Now let's put these numbers into real perspective. 523,879. Rogue One, 2016. Internationally, Rogue One made $833 million. 434. Oopsie. That's $300 million more than The Rise of Skywalker. Rogue One, Phantom Menace. Here's where it's going to start getting real ugly. 1999, without the benefit of YouTube and the internet, 855, 516. Last time I checked, 855 is 300 million more than 555. Disney. Now here's where we're going to give a really terrible look. 314, 4. A movie from 1977, which began this whole thing, didn't have the benefit of fans, internet, anything. You had to read about stuff in the newspaper weeks later, or word of mouth. $2,351,000,000. More than Force Awakens. $1.3 billion more than The Rise of Skywalker, a film that was in 43 theaters in 1977. The first movie is not supposed to do as good as the last movie that has the benefit of 43 years of lore, fandom, history, technology, experience, and yet George Lucas made over $1 billion more in 1977 than Disney can in 2020. Complete, utter failure. Now here's the big picture and where you're going to see the demise of Disney. 1.069. Again, it needs to reach 1.3 to even be credible because it has to reach The Last Jedi. It's the trilogy movies. It has to compete with nothing else but Force Awakens and The Last Jedi. It's obviously not going to make $2 billion like Force Awakens, so it has to reach 1.33. It is 300 million under. 250, let's say, under. Now let's look at this. Rogue One. No matter how you slice it, domestically, internationally, and now we're going to look at total box office. Rogue One. 1.135, 1.069. The Rise of Skywalker isn't even going to make 1.1. So Rogue One has officially destroyed The Rise of Skywalker, a non-sequel trilogy movie, a side story that a lot of people don't even care about, has totally decimated The Rise of Skywalker. The culmination of 43 years, the end of the Star Wars saga, has been destroyed by Rogue One. 1.135, and this isn't even going to make 1.1. The Last Jedi, I won't even do inflation because it's beating it without inflation. Same thing for Force Awakens. Now let's look here. Without inflation, 1.027. Without even the benefit of 20 years of technology. Phantom Menace, total box office. A movie from 1999 when the digital era was just beginning. 1.590. So let's say 1.6. And this movie can't even make 1.1. The Phantom Menace destroyed The Last Jedi and Rogue One and is not far from Force Awakens, who again has a 20 years of more fandom, experience, technology, internet. So when you really balance what was going on at the times, this movie even destroys Force Awakens. And it is far and away from The Rise of Skywalker. This is a major milestone. This is a new era of Star Wars, the prequels, Episode 1. And it wasn't even the most popular prequel movie. Now let's go really put the nail in the coffin for Disney's failure. 43 theaters, 1977, Star Wars, A New Hope. Do you understand what $775 million are in 1977? Adjusted for inflation. $3,300,828,370.69. $3.3 billion, folks. Force Awakens cannot do that. Last Jedi cannot do that. It's almost 3 times Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker and Rogue One. A movie in 1977 that had no benefit of anything, that was in 43 theaters and everybody thought George Lucas was crazy. Now let's look at the weekly comparisons. And while I could go through further embarrassing Disney here, because there's just tons of data, we're going to look at where it's at. Day 61. It made 147, because some of you are going to say, but all movies fall off. All movies are going to drop off in the box office. It's 61 days. Oh, really? 9th Tuesday, The Rise of Skywalker made 147. It can't even make $150,000. Let me repeat that. A Star Wars movie in 2020 cannot make $150,000. At the same time, Force Awakens made $575. Rogue One, again beating Rise of Skywalker with 260. It just barely by inches is beating The Last Jedi. There was not tracking back then for A New Hope, but we already know that number would have decimated all of this with inflation. And without even inflation, look at Phantom Menace, $886,000 on day 61. Almost $1 million 2 months out. So don't tell me that Star Wars doesn't have legs, or that movies fall off, or that it's because it's 60 days. No, no, no. Real movies make real money. The Phantom Menace made almost $1 million on its 9th Tuesday, and The Rise of Skywalker can't even make $150,000. I've been waiting for this chart to finish. Once the 10th Thursday comes in, I'll be doing my detailed video of this entire breakdown that really shows you the fail of Skywalker. But as you can see, and tomorrow I'm going to predict 9th Wednesday, this is going to be $100,000. That is my prediction for tomorrow. The numbers will be in a few hours, and I'm predicting that February 19th, Wednesday, which is today, the numbers will come in, it's going to be $100,000, if not less. Maybe it's like 90. So just to recap, Rogue One, never mind Force Awakens or The Last Jedi, Rogue One, that isn't even a trilogy movie, has beaten The Rise of Skywalker in legs, in total box office, in international box office, and domestic box office. Rogue One in all forms shuts down The Rise of Skywalker, as does Phantom Menace that everybody complains about. Little Anakin, meh, 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 meh. Jar Jar Binks, meh, 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 meh. Far and away destroys The Rise of Skywalker. And a movie from 1977 that had none of the benefits of any of these other films. That was in 43 movie theaters, folks. That was not even international. Far and away 3 times the profit. Say what you will of George Lucas, but he knew how to make movies and he knew how to make money. Please like, subscribe, and comment on the video. May the Force be with you.